We're talking about working with sellers today. So I broke this up into two pieces. Part one is going to be how to find sellers to work with. I'm going to run through that kind of quick. It's going to be more conceptual. I have more trainings inside of our training portal about each of these things we're going to talk about. And then section two is going to be actually working. Once you get the prospect and get them to work with you, how do you actually get it closed and how do you actually work with them to make your life easier and to leverage yourself and do more and not hate listings. If you're anything like me in the beginning, when I first started, average days on market was like 60 to 70 depending on the area. And so I hated listings because I didn't know what to do when I got them. I just felt like they were constantly breathing down my neck, wondering when I'm gonna bring another buyer, when we're gonna get a contract, blah, blah, blah. And it took me a while to realize how to have the right conversations up front and how to communicate throughout the process so that I don't feel bad. It's not my fault. The market's gonna do what it's gonna do. We've done all of our work and I have to put it back on to them or the market. So working with sellers was a very stressful process for me. I hated it. But if you're gonna grow your business at all and get some leverage in your business, you have to leverage sellers because you work hard up front and then you don't do anything for a while. It's pretty great. So we're gonna talk about prospecting. So first, if you've heard me talk about our building a balanced business, if you come to our balanced business, I talk about the concept of high calorie and low calorie prospecting. Has anyone heard me talk about this? Guys, okay. So your business is starving, right? Some people really feel that. Your business is a starving person. You are starving. You need to feed it, and leads are the food. That's how we feed it. So there are high calorie foods we can feed it, and there are low calorie foods that we can feed it. High calorie, I can take less bites and get more calories, right? Low calorie, I have to take a lot of bites, right? So a high calorie might be calling a for sale by owner, someone who's already listed. They're already further in the funnel. High or low calorie is going to be just door knocking. I have to do 1,000 of those before I get some real results, right? So there's no wrong way or right way to prospect. I have this conversation all the time, like, have you ever done this prospecting method? Have you ever done this? What do you think of this? They all work. They're all fine. You can find someone who makes millions of dollars doing every one of those, but you have to understand what you're doing and the activity required to do it and how to do it properly. Because if you say, I want a door knock, and you knock 10 doors and say door knocking doesn't work, wrong. It's a low calorie activity. You didn't do enough of it, right? Makes sense? So understanding the difference between high calorie, low calorie activities in your prospecting. So high calorie versus low calorie. So again, no wrong way to prospect. I would, for especially agents who are new, start with high calorie. You're gonna be able to do less and get more results than a low calorie activity that takes a lot more time. When you've done it, we've maximized as much as you can do in a high calorie activity, you can start moving to lower calorie activities. But understand the sales funnel of a process. Typically, so here's a sales funnel. We have terms called top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So typically low calorie, stuff I have to do a lot of, is you're gonna be prospecting people in the top of the funnel. They are no interest to no motivation, or not interested or not motivated yet. So if I'm just door knocking, I'm gonna get a lot of people who are like, I just bought this house 2 years ago, I'm not moving, right? So that's top of funnel activity. Then there is middle of funnel activity, which is some interest, some motivation. And then there's bottom of funnel, high interest, high motivation. Bottom of funnel is gonna be like Zillow leads, Realtor.com leads, open house leads. These are people who are actively in the market shopping. They are towards the bottom of the sales funnel. They are about to buy something, right? So the closer they are to the bottom of the funnel, the higher calorie activity it is. Now the downside is the further they are in the funnel, the more people are prospecting them, right? That's why a Zillow lead is $1,000 per lead, whether they answer the phone or not, right? Versus a Google lead is $2 a lead, right? High calorie versus low calorie, makes sense? So something that is cheaper, if I can get a Facebook lead for 10 cents, they're way, way up here, right? They haven't even thought about it. But if I nurture them, I can work them down here, and I got them for 12 cents. Make sense? There's no wrong way to prospect. You have to understand who you're prospecting and where they're at in the sales funnel. And is this a low calorie or high calorie activity? If you're brand new and you start your business and you're like, Brett, I quit my job and I need a paycheck in 30 days, don't buy Facebook ads because you've got a 6 to 8 month nurture process. Go call people who have their house on the market actively right now. Expired listings, stuff like that, who are really low in the funnel because they're going to transact quicker. So does that concept make sense? A lot of people don't understand. They think every prospecting method is equal, and they're not. They're all different. You're going after different people, going after different motivations, different timelines, different everything. So make sure you understand what you're going after. So types of seller prospecting we're going to talk about today. For sale by owners, expireds, open houses. You might be thinking, what? We can get sellers from open houses. Happens all the time. And circle prospecting. Very low calorie activity. It really goes from high to low calorie activity here in this list. Okay, I'm a big for sale by owner fan. In my first year full time, sold 37 houses. All it was for sale by owners and open houses. That's it. Didn't buy a lead, wasn't on a team, didn't get leads. All cold prospecting, all for sale by owners and open houses. That's it. So I think for sale by owner activity is an incredible way to get your business going. I think it's a great way to get listings. You can serve people really, really well because they need you. They don't know it yet, but they need you. And it's low-hanging fruit. It's high-calorie activity, low-hanging fruit. So understanding, I'm gonna touch real high level on each of these things. I'm not gonna go real deep into I have hour-long trainings on all these things, but I'm gonna go real high level. So why for sale by owners? These are sellers who are raising their hand right now saying, I'd like to sell my home, but I can't, and I'm not represented, and I'd like to sell my home, right? If I'm gonna prospect, why is that not the first person I'm gonna go prospect to? I'm trying to sell my home and I don't have an agreement with anyone. You should be calling, every FSBO in the city should know your name. That's the silliest thing, that every agent in here isn't calling every single FSBO that hits the market. But we don't for some reason. So they need your help, they just don't know it yet. Even during COVID, when houses were flying off the market, we didn't see a decrease or an increase in FSBOs. It was still about the same amount of the market we're doing FSBO, and they're having about the same amount of success as agents. So they still listed with agents because they didn't know what they were doing. They're making the same mistakes everyone's making when they do their own, list their own properties. So good market, bad market, FSBOs are out there. In 2013, when I was kind of getting going, there's about 300 to 400 FSBOs on the market at any time. Now there's probably 200 to 300 on the market at any time, so there's less now, but there's still plenty out there, and they just keep coming on every single month. There's no shortage. I promise by the time you call all 200, there's 200 more that hit the market. Timing is everything. I always say, with a FSBO, people say, should I call them when they're brand new on the market or when they've been on the market for 60 days? The answer is yes, call them. Timing is everything. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. When I'm ready to list my house, you can come in and fumble through the entire process, knowing nothing, being brand new, never sold a house. But if I'm ready to list, I'm gonna hear you out. But it could be the best sales pitch on the planet. I could come in and nail everything and just crush it and wear my nicest suit and everything. And if you're not ready to hear it, it's gonna go in one ear and out the other. It's completely timing. So you just need to do repetition, just do them. Get them, go on them, follow up with them. That's it. Don't overthink it. So timing is everything. Realize that you're not gonna close them on the first time. Maybe you will, but if they're not ready, you're not gonna. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter how well you prepare or anything. Over 80% of FSBOs list their home with a realtor eventually. The National Association of Realtors did a study. I think it's like 86% of FSBOs list their home eventually. So of the 200 out there, any math people, what's that? 140, 160, what is it? 160 of them are gonna list. 6 months from now, there's another 200, 160 of those are gonna list. How many of them are you going to list is the question. So they do come on and they do list. The goal of the for sale by owner appointment is to get face-to-face. There's a lot of scripts online or training videos online that try to give you scripts on how to actually try to list the property online, commit to commission online, and do all this stuff on the phone. It's very difficult to be a good salesperson on the phone. It's real easy for them to just click and hang up. So you want to get face-to-face. Way easier to build rapport, way easier to overcome objection, way easier to do everything when you're face-to-face. So the purpose of a FSBO call is to get the appointment. It should be 60 seconds. We're getting on the phone, off the phone. Short and sweet. So we want to get on there. Again, I go into scripts, all those things in our training. I'm going real high level to wet your guys' beak a little bit on what a FSBO does. So number one objection. Everyone's always scared. what are they going to ask me? Number one objection you're going to get from a FSBO is, do you have a buyer? You're going to say, Mr. FSBO, I'm calling about your house, want to come out and see it. You open to working with agents? Yeah. Can I come out and see it on Sunday? Do you have a buyer? That's what you're going to get. Here's how you overcome that. One, don't lie. Don't say, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, don't lie. If you do, say yes. If you don't, say this. Call FSBOs that are near office listings. Call FSBOs that are near open houses or that are near where you live. We have almost 500 listings or something right now. I promise you can accomplish one of these three things. You either live near it, we have an open house near it, or we have a listing near it, I promise. So this is your objection. This is how you overcome it. If you're calling near a listing that you, your team, or the company have, you're going to say, well, I don't have a specific buyer right now, but we have listings nearby, and we're meeting a few buyers every month from that listing, and I'd like to be able to tell them about your house if they don't like ours. Are you okay with me telling buyers about your house? Of course they're okay with that. You'd be dumb to say no to that. So then I say, great, I'd like to come out and take a look at it so I can talk about it educatedly. Educatedly. That can't be right. But I'd like to be able to come out so I know what I'm talking about. If I'm calling near an open house I'm doing, this is what I love. This is, if you're doing open houses, you should be calling FSBOs all around it. I don't have a specific buyer right now, but I'm doing an open house nearby. We're meeting a few buyers every week from that listing, and I'd like to be able to tell them about your house if they don't like ours. Are you okay with me telling buyers about your house? Yes, of course. Great. Can I come out and take a look at it so I know what I'm talking about? Same thing with where you live. I don't have a specific buyer right now, but I live nearby and I'm always talking to people who want to get into our area. Are you okay if I tell people about your house? Yes, of course. So, easiest way to overcome that main objection that you're going to get. Are you going to get past every seller? No. Some people are going to just still say no. You hang up, you call the other 199 people, right? And then following up. Number one thing, fortune's in the follow-up. 90% of whether or not you list a house has to do with how well you follow up. Only 10% has to do with how well you are on the phone or how well you do in person. Only 10%. And that's the part everyone freaks out about. Everyone freaks out about calling and going on the appointment because they're like, what do I say? What do I do? What if they don't like me? 10% of that matters. I wish I could bring some agents up here that I've worked with in the past that have converted FSBOs, and you're just like, holy cow, that person couldn't talk to a wall. But they go on the appointment and they follow up. It is so simple, guys. Don't overthink it. You go on it. They really don't even have to think you're amazing or love you. They have to not hate you and not think you're an idiot. That's it. You accomplish that, and then you follow up properly, you get listings. It's as simple as that. Couple of follow-up tactics. I like to put, when I was doing a bunch of them at a high level, I used to put thank you cards in the mail after I met with them. So I'd meet with them at 3, and then on my way home that day, I live near a post office, I put a thank you card in. So they get it hopefully the next day or the day after. Okay, let me know if it goes off again. I'm pretty sure it's going to go off again really soon. Hey Sean, since you're standing up, you want to do me a favor? Under my computer screen, there's a charger. You should plug that in. And then when this dies, you'll have to go get it. Okay, strategy with for sale by owners. This is what I did when I was part-time. This is all I did for prospecting listings is 5 to 8 for sale by owner appointments a week. Approximately 2 months, just estimate it's going to be 2 months follow-up, 4 to 8 weeks follow-up. You should be taking 1 to 2 listings a month with this strategy after about 3 months. If you can maintain that consistency, you will be taking this amount of listings. What I always tell people that are doing this, as I'm coaching agents that are going through this, is you need to maintain a minimum of 10 for sale by owners that you're following up with every week. Because you're going to go on 5, and then that week you have 5 to follow up with. The next week you're going to go on 5 more, now you've got 10, but 2 or 3 of them listed or sold or went off the market. Well, shoot, now I'm down to 7 or 8. Okay, I got to do 5 more, 2 or 3 fell of them off. And so as you keep doing more, they're going to keep falling off or selling. So you need to keep a minimum of every Monday, you should be calling at least 10 people to follow up. Now, some people will say, stop calling me. Some people will say I sold. Some people will say I listed. So make sure you have a minimum of 10 every week. And if you can do that for 2 to 3 months, you'll be taking 1 to 2 listings a month every single time. I've not seen someone do it and not do that. I've seen a lot of people quit after 1 month, but I've never seen someone do it for 3 or 4 months and not take 1 or 2 listings a month. We had, I wish Brittany was here. We did like a blitz contest. We were giving points for listings, FSBOs, that kind of stuff. And I think she did 10 FSBO appointments a week for 4 weeks. And she took 2 to 3 listings for the next 6 months off just that month of appointments. That's it. And she didn't do any more after that. She just kept following up with them. For the next 8 months, she took at least 2 listings a month. And so it's just from the condensed activity. People take time to get to the point where they're ready. You follow it properly, and you're going to get listings. But if you can do a reasonable amount of activity consistently, it just creates consistent deal flow in your business. 1 to 2 listings a month. Expireds, I'm going to go through these kind of quick. Expired process is pretty straightforward. Expireds are very low in the funnel. They tried to sell their house and it didn't sell. There's 400 to 500 expireds every single month in our market. Seems crazy. Every single month there's 400 to 500 expireds. Script is super simple. I don't love scripts. I'm more of a framework guy. I don't like scripts. So I like to get into a specific conversation with a specific goal. That's kind of my idea. And the concept is I want to ask, hey, calling about your house on Main Street that was on the market recently. Did you ever sell that? Did you ever end up selling it? Whatever happened to that? And they're going to tell you what went wrong, and you're going to ask, what do you think your agent did wrong? They're going to gladly tell you. And then you sell that back to them. Oh man, they didn't do any open houses? We always do open houses. Oh man, they didn't call you? We call every week, you know, whatever it is. And that's the conversation you get into. Same thing. I'd love to come out and see it, and then you want to try to get that appointment. Go for the appointment. It's tough to list properties over the phone. Go meet them face to face, build rapport. Open houses. So again, we all do open houses to capture buyers. If you're doing it strategically, the right areas, the right price points, you can actually be getting listings out of these buyers as well. So price point is super important. Or why open houses? Obviously, you're meeting with live people and building rapport face to face. It's really easy to connect with people face to face in a property. And so if you're doing open houses in the 170 range or in the 250 range, you might be dealing with someone who hasn't, this is their first home maybe, or maybe not their first home, but they don't have a home to sell, right? You deal in the 350s and up, they might be moving out of a $200,000 house, right? So if you're doing open houses in the right areas and the right price points, you have a higher probability of that person have a home to sell. So as you get into conversations, if they say they rent or they own, you know, I always like to ask questions. You live nearby, or you trying to get in the area? And then they'll tell me exactly where they live from that open-ended question. And then I like to ask them about their home values. When you ask for the business, it's important. As important as what you can buy is what kind of equity do you have for a down payment? So a lot of people start the pre-approval process, but do you know kind of what your home might be worth and what you might expect? What kind of equity you can take into the next property? That conversation is super important. So I always like to say getting approved with the lender is important, but equity is as important. Do you have any idea what your home's worth, what it might sell for? And then has anyone looked at comparable homes for you and kind of told you what you might be able to expect? That kind of conversation can get you into give me your address. I'll take a look at it and send you some information. And you can kind of get into that information as well. So you're shopping for buyers, but don't forget to ask for sellers, because they might, again, a lot of buyers, if you're not careful, they might think you're tied to that listing. and they don't know that you can help them buy any house in the state. But you want to get into these other conversations about I can help you buy anything and I can help you sell your house, which is a big piece. So you want to get tied to both ends of that transaction. So as you're doing open houses, try to do it in price points, in areas, and property types that lend as a second home, not a first home. That makes sense. And you can have a higher probability of getting listings out of your buyers. My first year, again, sold 37 houses. Someone guess what my average price point was.
175.
That's exactly what it was. Did I tell you that? No, it was just a good guess. It was a long time ago, but I was 25, so a lot of people that could afford more houses didn't really want to work with me. And so I sold $175,000 houses, 30 something of them, 37 of them. And so I didn't have a lot of clients with homes to buy and sell. We were just a bunch of first time, new family, married, no kids, married, one kid families. And so I had to work a lot harder. So I hate seeing people with their first properties, like $300,000 listing. I'm like, get out of here. So do it in areas where you can get more buyers and more listings and have higher probability of listings. Circle prospecting, again, low calorie activity. Circle prospecting, if you're not familiar, is circling a neighborhood and calling everyone in the neighborhood. I'm just picking up the phone and I'm dialing numbers. Statistically, is it 10 or 30? I think 10% of every neighborhood statistically turns over every year. And so if you're calling a neighborhood, there's 10% of that is going to sell in the next 12 months statistically. So you're literally looking for top of funnel people who have not gone to the internet yet. They haven't clicked on any buttons. They haven't done anything. They're just like, oh, my wife and I were just talking about that. And then you put them in your CRM, you put them in your follow-up, and you follow up with them for 6 to 18 months until they list their home with you. It is a long-term play. If anyone's met Grayson Warren here with us, all he did when he was brand new, he just started calling neighborhoods. That's it. In his first, I think he sold 26 properties in the first 11 months or something like that. Just sheer volume of communication. He met low-hanging fruit. So very low calorie activity. You're able to make 100 to 300 calls a day, but you can have success. That 100 calls, the internet averages is make 100 calls. You should have about 20 conversations. You should get approximately 1 appointment out of 20 conversations. That's kind of the averages you should expect. So to hit certain goals, you're having to make hundreds and hundreds of calls a month to have that success, thousands of calls a month.
Brad, do you think it's better to do phone calls rather than doing postcards?
Two different strategies. Yes, I think so. A lot of people do those together, multiple touch points, different media types. You know, one's a phone call, one's a postcard, so I can see your face. So I would, if you're doing one, overlapping them. If you're farming a neighborhood, right, you're kind of hitting it with multiple things. I know a lot of people that mail, call, and do Facebook geo fencing for Facebook and Google ads as well. So anytime they go to the internet, they see your face. Once a month they see your face, and then they get phone calls from you once a month as well. So there's ways to layer on top of those. Yeah, but phone calls. Here's my rule of thumb. If it's more uncomfortable, it's better. If you don't want to do it, that means you should be doing it. That's my rule of thumb. Harder is better. So the script. Real quick, I'll kind of run through the script. So calling about so normally if you're using the right tools, you know the owner's name before you call them. You have their phone number. You can call through a dialer, or you can call through hand dial. And you say, hey, is this Brett? How are you? I'm a real estate professional in Oklahoma City. I was reaching out about your home on Main Street. Wondering if you'd ever considered selling it, right? Again, and not necessarily a script, more of a framework. 99 out of 100 times they're going to say no. You can say, I'm sure you're aware inventory's super low in the area. There's still a bunch of demand. So if you're kind of walking them through. They say no right now, but I want to know, is it a no? Is it a no, or is it a no not right now, or is it a no in 12 months? Because a no could be no, but in 90 days we're going to start looking at listing, right? So you want to dig a little bit deeper past the no. You want to affirm, okay, cool, great, no. Tell me a little bit more, and then you talk about their equity. How long have you lived there? So long. Oh man, you must have a bunch of equity. Have you guys thought about tapping into that in any other way? You're just having a conversation. The more you talk, the more you're going to drop their guard, the more information you're going to get out of them. But again, the idea is I want to I either want to schedule an appointment to come out and take a look at it, or send out some sort of CMA. And if I can't do either of those, I want to see if I can get their email to drop them into my CRM to keep in touch with them long term. Those are kind of that's the first is appointment, second is can I send you a CMA, third is can I grab your email. If they say no to all those, you go on to the next one. But if you're calling 100 a day, 20 conversations, you might get 10 emails, 5 emails every single day for 365 days. You build an enormous database. So low calorie. If someone's brand new and they need to make money, I'm gonna skip that one. And they need to make money. I don't know why we're not in your full-time job. Nothing else going on. You're not part-time with anything else. Then it needs to be phone calls, contacts, all kinds of stuff. And these are the ways we do it. So tools for circle prospecting, we offer RedX to all of our agents for free. It is a geo-farming tool where you can actually circle a neighborhood and it gives you all the contact information for the people that live in it. So that's for free, we offer that. Vulcan 7 is like a dialer. It also is a skip tracer and pulls information, so you can get on that as well. And following up with, just like open houses or anything, categorize them by timeline, motivation and timeline, and then follow up accordingly. If they say, no, I'm not selling ever, follow up with them, once a quarter. If they say, yeah, we've thought about selling the next year or so, it's once a month. If they said, yeah, we're thinking about interviewing agents, whatever, it's once a week, right? So categorize them based on their timelines and their motivations, and then follow up accordingly. We don't just drop everyone into an email campaign, right? Tag them and follow up accordingly. Okay, takeaways for the prospecting piece. So time blocking is everything. If it's not on your calendar, if you don't want to do it and it's not on your calendar, you won't do it. You'll find every other excuse to do. I got to do laundry. I got to go fill the car up with gas. I got to do this, right? There's a million other things you're going to do besides pick up the phone and call someone. Time block your activity. The biggest thing between what I consider a part-time or a full-time person is so many people get in this industry and treat real estate like a hobby instead of like a job. Hobbies cost money. Jobs make money. If you treat this like a job and you time block yourself, if you got a job literally in any other industry, they're going to know where you're at from 8 to 5, right? If I look at most realtors' calendars, they don't know where they were at from 8 to 5. So treat this like a job. Prospect in the morning, willpower is like a muscle. By the end of the day, it's tired. You don't want to do anything besides sit on the couch, watch TV or whatever. Do your hard stuff in the morning. Make your phone calls in the morning, do your prospecting in the morning, do your appointments in the afternoon. So when I was part-time, I prospected probably more than 90% of real estate agents as a part-time agent working 60 hours a week doing something else. And I prospect about 8 to 10 hours a week. That was it. And my whole strategy was every Thursday at 5, I called FSBOs until I filled up from 10 to 1 on Saturday. So if they were all nearby, I'd get 8 FSBO appointments. If they were far apart, maybe I can only get 5, but I didn't stop till I had 5. So every Thursday, I spent about an hour calling FSBOs, so I had 5 to 8 on Saturday. On Saturday, I would go on them, and on Sunday, I'd do open houses. That's it. So 2 to 3 hours on Sunday, 3 hours on a Saturday, hour on a Thursday. That's it. 8-ish to 10-ish hours a week, and I was in the top 10% of real estate agents in the city that year. 8 hours prospecting, that's it. And when I came on full time, I did the exact same thing, nothing different. I could now pursue those buyers that are 6 months out. Now I was better at pursuing them because I had more time to do those things. But when I was part-time, all I got was my low-hanging fruit because I didn't have time. I was terrible at follow-up. So same exact idea. It's prospecting. I had built a huge pipeline at that time, though. When someone's brand new, maybe you can do 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 FSBO appointments a week, right? Push it. But what I always tell people is figure out what you can do consistently. Do not create a non-sustainable schedule for yourself. If you don't feel like you can do 20 appointments a week, don't try to do 20. If 8's sustainable, do 8, but do it every single week. Does that make sense? Consistency is better than intensity. Jet Li had a quote, and I can't remember what it was. Might just be consistency is better than intensity. I would rather you be consistent across 6 months than just do like 1 million in 1 month and then stop for the next 5, right? Consistency is going to beat intensity. All right, I got started a little late and that took a little longer than I want. This is good stuff though, so stick with me here. All right, so now we're going to talk about managing a listing. This is the biggest piece I think people do wrong. I think a lot of people get a listing, they put it on the MLS and they kick their feet up and they're like, why won't it sell? and they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know how to set expectations up front to make their life easier, and they don't know how to communicate with the seller what they're actually seeing in the market. The reality is, and I always share this with my clients, is like there's no 99% of what marketing realtors do is to market themselves, not your house. So there's no button or switch or lever I can pull to market faster or harder or further or it's just I put it on the market and the market will absorb it based on how it's priced and its condition, right? I can't make a home sell faster. I can't make someone buy a home. I can't talk someone out of buying a home, right? It is very organic process that I have very little control over. All I can do is prep my sellers what to expect, price it accordingly, and market it as best I can on the front end. And once it's on the market, I have very little control. I can make adjustments, but I can't control the market. So we're going to talk about the listing appointment. I had this pulled up. In our marketing suite on our agent portal, I created this home seller's guide. This is a leave behind. When I go on a listing appointment, I bring this. It's got all of our data. It's basically talking points. So it's going to go over table of contents. So these slides I'm about to go through here in a second are labeled this. It's the slide I'm going to talk about pricing your home. I'm going to talk about a slide of reading the market, make readies, marketing. So everything, the conversation I'm about to have with you is the conversations you should have with the seller. Listing appointments are not talking about how great you are and how awesome you are and how much you can sell houses and how I'm smart and you're dumb and everyone else sucks, and that's where most people go wrong. A listing appointment is about making them comfortable picking you, explaining how this process is going to work so that I feel comfortable because you've communicated what's happening to me. A buyer or a seller going through a transaction, I've used the analogy, it's like someone walking through a haunted house. It's not the house that's scary. I know no one's going to hurt me. It's I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to pop out from around the corner. And if I can tell you what's going to happen, I feel more comfortable with you. I want to use you, right? So these are the conversations I have. So I use this. Before I made this, I would go in with a folder, with my brokerage folder, and I would write these things down. Price, market, make ready, marketing, showings, so that I could remember to have these conversations and I'd check it when I had the conversation with the client. Now I've created a really sweet graphic. And so it's just little things, learn about us, pricing your home, reading the market. I put some stats in there, make ready repairs, the marketing, showings and offers, and then compensation. So, and then some random terms to know. So that's what we're going to talk about these slides are. So you can actually, this is in our marketing suite, and you can print this off and take this to you and leave it behind. When I'm in the listing presentation, I circle things, I underline things, I write things on it, and I leave it with them so they can read and review and have that for me. But that's what we're about to go through. So the listing appointment is about building rapport, setting expectations, and explaining the listing process. That's it. Talk about yourself. If you've done some really cool stuff or some great stuff or sold some houses nearby or done something you think's relative to that sale, that person, cool. But if I just made a ton of money selling real estate last year, they don't really care about that, right? If there's something relative to get their home moved, great. But my 87-point marketing plan, right? It's just like, those are good, great, mention them. The highlight should be about building rapport, setting expectations, and making them feel comfortable about the process. That's who they're going to use. If some guy comes in and just talks at them for an hour, and that person might have sold 1,000 homes last year, but talks at them and steamrolls them, they may or may not use that person, right? Certain personality might like that, but most people are like, I don't feel like he's going to listen to me if I ever have a question, or whatever it might be. So it's about making them feel comfortable with the process. Explain how the buying process works, and we're going to explain how to read the market too. I'll kind of walk you through that. That's one of the biggest things. I don't feel like agents understand how the market works. All right, so these are the expectations we're going to set. These are the pages in the book I just showed you. Pricing the home, reading the market, make readies, marketing the home, what we're going to do to market the home, showings and feedbacks and compensations. So it starts with building rapport. I walk in to the listing presentation. I say, show me around. Show me anything that you think is amazing or whatever. What would you think the buyer of this home is going to love in your home? Show me around. And then when we're done, I like to start the conversation just by saying, you guys have like a price in mind you want to nail, or tell me kind of what you guys are thinking as far as price. And then they tell me, and then we jump into these expectations. That's kind of my transition. I'm very visual. So this is the page in the book, and we'll go through it. I'm very visual. I like to have graphs. I was an analyst before this, so I like to have graphs. So I don't try to tell them what the home will sell for. I give them a price range. And I explain that the market will dictate the price. If you guarantee a price, or if you tell them a price, and they're going to want that price, and they're going to fire you based off if you can get that price or not. I don't pick the price. I don't tell a buyer what they can buy it for, what they want it for. I read the market, and I tell you what the market's telling me, because I can read it and you can't, and then we're going to put it out there, we're going to let the market dictate. Price and condition. So that's what this graph is on the next. When price meets condition, the home will sell in the average days on market. So if price and condition meet, it doesn't sell on day one, it sells in the average days on market. If condition is better than price, it might sell faster. And if condition is worse than price, it'll sell slower. But at the end of the day, when the market deems that the price meets the condition, it will sell in the average days on market. So that's what my job is, to find that equilibrium of when price and condition meet, where we can sell it quicker in the average days of market. We know if we're on that what I call the sale line. We know if we're on the sell line if we're getting showings and offers. That's how we're reading the market. So there's a way to pre-read the market, and then a way to read the market when we're on market. So here's that graphic. So all homes will sell when the buyer's opinion of price matches the condition. So if the condition, again, this is the sale line. So if the condition is really good, then theoretically the price should be really good. If the condition is really bad, then it's here, right? But if you have a really high price but bad condition, you're going to expect longer days on market. Good price, good condition, faster sale, right? So this visual is not my opinion. This is what the market is telling us. We want to find this sale line, right? And it's not a perfect line like it is right here. It's going to be scattered, right? Dots scattered all over. So we're going to have to find it. And every property is unique. Every buyer is unique. We're going to have to find it and let the market dictate the price for us. So it's important to kind of understand that. The higher we go above comps, this is the number one thing, is sellers I think it's worth $300, they want $350. Great, you're the owner of the home. I'm going to list it wherever you want, and I'm going to work my hardest to sell it at whatever price you tell me. It's my job to show you what I'm seeing, though, so that if we don't have success in the first couple weeks, you don't think Brett's just not doing his job. I'm just showing you what the market's telling me. And the higher we go above comps, the results become less predictable. And that's how I explain it to them. People don't like unpredictability. So if I price it where I think, I can tell you it's probably going to sell 30, 45 days around this price. If we're doing it in Oklahoma City or in a high velocity market like Oklahoma City, I can pretty much tell you how long it's going to take and what it's going to sell for pretty consistently. The higher we go above that, it becomes less predictable. Some guy might fly in from out of town and have to have it and buy it on the first day. I don't know. I've seen it happen. But it becomes less predictable. I don't know how long it's going to take. We get less activity. There's less for me to read. There's less of the market's not talking to us because we're so priced outside of where it should be. So it becomes less predictable, harder to read the higher we go above recommended price. So it's important to understand the sale line. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for that sale line where price meets condition. Explain the buying process. So the buying process is entirely emotional. It is not a logical decision to buy a home. It is illogical to buy a home nowadays. I think like 2 years ago, it was like the first time ever it became more expensive to own than rent, or is a smarter decision to own than rent at some point because of interest rates. So it is entirely emotional. You're dealing with people's emotions when they make decisions. Emotions are less predictable. So based on the comps, we're going to put the home in a price range, and then we're going to let the market dictate the price. If the home isn't selling, it's important you have this conversation up front before we list it. You can't have this conversation after it's been on the market for 30 days. Up front, if the home is not selling, we have two options. That's it. We either decrease the price or we increase the condition. There is no extra marketing thing I can do. There's no person hiding under a rock I can go tell your house about that doesn't know about it already. Everyone, it's on the internet. Everyone can see it on the planet, can see your house. They don't think the price is low enough, or they don't think the condition is good enough. Those are the only two things we can do. Decrease price, increase the condition. And sometimes you might have a house that's immaculate. There's nothing for us to do in this house, so its price is the only lever we can pull, right? Or maybe it's, hey, replace that carpet you said you would replace when we got the right offer. Well, the offer's not coming in, so let's replace the carpet now, get some new photos, raise that condition up. Make sense? Those are the only two things you can do. I'm gonna simplify this whole thing for you. I'm pulling the curtain back. I'm telling my client this in the beginning. There's anyone that tells you they have some kind of secret sauce to get whatever, they're lying to you. The internet exists. We all have access to the same resources. They just don't want to tell you the reality, which is there's only two things that keep your house from selling: price or condition. So explain these things. And you want to tell stories to help. So again, we talked about this a month or two ago. People value loss twice as much as they value gain. So they are more afraid. They're twice as scared to lose $10 than they are excited to win $10. Does that make sense? They're more driven by loss than they are by gain. So you can tell stories to influence people, because you don't want to say, hey, you're being dumb right now and you're going to cost yourself money. But what I can do is tell you about a dumb client I had that cost themselves money. That's doing the same thing you're doing. And so same thing. I'll tell, we had a client that needed some extra money because they were moving into a new house, stretching, needed a little bit extra money, priced it about 20 grand higher than we wanted. We got 3 offers that were right at where I recommended listing. Sat on the market extra longer. We couldn't negotiate, couldn't get it done. Finally, the 4th offer came in lower than the other offers. She finally accepted it. Cost herself about $15,000. So testing the market can cost us money sometimes. So that conversation is not saying, hey, you're being unreasonable. My last client that was unreasonable cost themselves $15,000. Would you like to repeat that? So tell stories to gauge that instead of telling them that. But this is what's most important. The market will dictate the price. The only two things we can do is decrease price, increase condition. The buyer's opinion of price. So valuing a home is subjective. Again, we're having this conversation. The value of a home is subjective. Using comps will put us in the range of a fair market value. And then it's important to understand that the market will dictate the price. I know there was a comp down the street that sold for this, but ours, we're not getting that offer. It hadn't come in yet. So we can wait for it. We can stay here. But typically over time, the buyer's opinion of the price is going to decrease over time. Unfortunately, the number one question I get from a buyer when we walk into a house is what? How long has it been on the market, right? Yeah. And then why has no one bought it yet if it's been too long, right? Or good, I can rip their head off in this negotiation because it's been here for however long. So time on market is a slow bleed, and we want to try to find that fair market value as quick as we can to get it sold in the average days on time to maximize profit and minimize days on market. So I'm gonna try to find that sale line, that fair market, and then we're gonna let the market dictate the price. So we have to listen to what the market's telling us. So how do we listen to what the market is telling us? Price and condition. When price and condition meet, the home will sell at the average days on market. So reading the market pre-listing, this is what I explained. I'm gonna read the market pre-listing and see what's happened in the past. And then once we hit the market, I'm gonna be reading what's happening actively currently with our home, and we're gonna combine those to make a decision. So pre-market, I'm looking at showing time and market stats. The first Thursday of every month, I go through our market stats to show you what's happening in the market. That is what this was. So these are market stats. I'm showing them, your average days on market is 57, your average shows to pending is 6, so we need about a showing a week on this particular property. If we're not getting a showing a week, we need to do something. After about 2 or 3 weeks, we need to do something. Because 57, that means we're behind our showings to pending. So I'm explaining, here's how I do it pre-market, and then here's how I do it post-market. So when I call you and tell you we're not getting a showing week, you already know what that means. That means the market thinks our price is too high compared to our condition. Shoot, Brett's about to ask me to drop my price. And if you do this properly, you actually have sellers start calling you and saying, is it time to drop the price, Brett? Yes, it is, because I already showed them what we're looking for, and I already showed them what the information is and what we're gonna do when we get this information. Make sense? So I'm gonna show them, here's how we're gonna read it, and we're not giving away secret. Again, none of this is secret, guys. It's not like they're gonna go around me and not use me if I show them. This is what they're paying us for, is to navigate this process for them. So it's like I said, my listing presentation's always kind of been like, let me pull the curtain back and show you how this process works, and I'm gonna navigate you through it. So pre-listing, we're looking at market stats and showing time. And then when it's an active listing, we're looking at showings and offers. Are we getting that one showing a week? If not, no showings is feedback. No one came to look at your house the last 2 weeks. That is the market giving us feedback. Or we're getting showings and we're getting actual feedback. I don't like this, I don't like this, we're not buying it because of this. That's actual feedback. So when we're getting feedback, we want to look at, we want to parse out actionable feedback versus non-actionable feedback. So actionable feedback is backyard's too small. I can't do anything about that. Actionable feedback is smells like cat pee. Okay, I can fix that. I don't like the paint, I don't like the carpet. These are actionable feedback. Do we want to drop the price? Do we want to take this action? Or do we want to just wait and let the right person come later and buy it? So we're looking at showings, feedback, actionable feedback, and if we're getting offers. Like my client, we got 3 offers. We couldn't negotiate any of them. They all came in within $3,000 of what I told her to list it at. And so, hey, the market has spoke to us 3 times and told us what it thinks it's worth, and we can't get it done. So I'll keep doing this, but the next offer is going to look like this or worse. This is the reality. So we're looking at showings, actual feedback, and then offers. Are we getting offers? If we're not getting what we need, we have 2 things to do. That's it. Decrease the price or increase the condition. I don't know what I meant by demonstration, because there's nothing else here.
I think it was supposed to be an interpretive dance.
I don't, maybe. There might have, I think, I pulled this from another slide, so maybe I did something different. If I think of it, I'll do it. I think what I did was go into market stats and show you how to find average days on market and shows depending. I have a video that shows you how to do that. So the make ready. So again, we have to talk about this. As you walk through the home, explain what things need to be addressed and the risk associated with not addressing these things. So your first impression is your last impression if you're not careful. Ryan Serhant. I thought that was really good. Understanding the difference between improvements and make ready repairs. You might have had a client that's like, I replaced the roof, can we raise the price 10 grand? No, everyone expects a house to have a roof, a functioning roof, so we're not gonna add that to the price. Every other comp has a roof that works. They want you to have a roof that works. So I'm replacing my windows. Well, everyone in the house or everyone in the neighborhood already has new windows, so that doesn't really raise our value much. So understanding these differences between improvements versus make readies. Am I bringing myself to the market, or am I making value improvements? So we talk about value versus marketability. So like I spent 100 grand on my back patio, right? I extended it and made a covered patio and all this stuff. It's like, that's great. I can't add 100 grand to it, but if there's 2 houses that look just alike, they're gonna buy yours for sure. It's more marketable because you have better stuff. But it doesn't raise our value, right? So when people go around asking about, we did this, or we spent money on this, did I need to do that to be in line with the comps, or is this extra value? And if I priced it, if I comped it already to assume it was in line with the comps, then anything you did it's already built into the comparables. Does that make sense? And you can't go above the comparables. Like, I put gold toilets in my bathroom. No one else has that. You've outbuilt the neighborhood at that point. So understanding value versus marketability and explaining that to them so they're not like, God, Brett didn't give me value for this thing and that's why we're not selling or whatever. They have to understand these concepts. Make readies typically increase your marketability, not your value. Painting the baseboards, painting the walls, removing carpet, replacing carpet, these things, rotted wood on the outside, these increase your marketability. Curb appeal, pulling out dead plants, putting live plants in, no value added. It's going to increase your marketability, your curb appeal. It's going to decrease days on market, hopefully. So understanding make readies and being able to explain that we're going to need to spend this money. We're not necessarily going to get it back in value from our home, but we're going to sell it quicker. We're going to save days on market. So again, the marketing. I explain there's no secret sauce. We're going to take the best photo. We're going to make sure the home is all the make readies are done. The condition is as good as we can possibly reasonably make it. We're going to make sure the marketing is really good, and then we're going to make sure the marketing is sent out to every corner of the internet, and then we're going to let the market dictate the price. So the best marketing tool we have is the MLS. Again, the internet exists. There's no secret thing any agent can do to market your home better, faster, or further, or anything. We all put it on the internet, and the internet does its thing. So my job is to make sure the marketing is done right, and that it represents the home appropriately, and then I can kind of see the pitfall. So in my opinion, I'll get a lot of pushback on this. In my opinion, less is more when it comes to online marketing. Your online marketing is your first impression. The MLS lets you put 50 photos on the MLS, I think, and I see so many houses with 1,700 square foot house with 50 photos. There's not 50 things to take a picture of in that house. And what really happens is when a buyer can look at 1,000 homes a day. And when they're going through homes, they're looking at reasons not to go see this home. They're looking at reasons to exclude this home from my search when they're on Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever. They're gonna go through blah, blah, blah. Ugh, yeah, backyard too small. Next. And what they're gonna do, and so I like to do 10 to 15 photos max, regardless of the size of the home. If it's 1,200 feet, it's 10. If it's 3,500, it's 15. Less is more. Each one needs to be a cover photo that can be on the front of a magazine, right? You're not gonna put a picture of the water tank on the front of a magazine. You're not gonna put a picture of the bathroom with you in the mirror on the front of a magazine. You're not gonna put these things. So each one, they should go through 10, 11, 12 photos and think, damn, I didn't hate anything in this house. Send it to my realtor, let's go see this. No one's gonna buy a home online. No consumer, investors do. No consumer is gonna buy a home online. The purpose of online marketing is to hook them and get them to come see it. Then when they come see it, I know their name or I know their realtor's name and I can follow up. I can ask questions, I can sell them this house. But if they're just looking online at my 50 photos, I don't know which photo they hated, I don't know which one they loved, I don't know who they are, they're gone. They're gone off to the internet. So the purpose of online marketing is to get them in the door. I've been in open houses, it happens constantly, where they come in and they say they want to come in because they couldn't really get a good feel from the photos, how the layout was or whatever. I did that on purpose. I want you to come in and see the house. Each photo is great and each photo looks attractive and it's desirable, but like I don't like photos that show, like if you took a photo from here and shot this whole room, a photo is two-dimensional. Everything's pushed to the front and it's gonna be, there's too much and it's not desirable. And in person, it looks amazing, it looks great. But in a photo, it's not. It looks cluttered, it looks small. So less is more with online photos, in my opinion. A lot of people, and you have to explain this to your seller because when you put it up and their neighbor says, there's only 12 photos online, man, why, you're not gonna sell your house with 12 photos. They need to be able to explain to them why you only put 12 photos because that guy does something else that's not real estate related, and I do. I'd sell a lot of real estate and that guy sells zero real estate, so let's trust me. But if they don't, they're gonna be like, yeah, why are there only 12 photos? They didn't even take a picture of the water tank. There's not, like, they don't know. They're just scared, right? They're walking through a haunted house. They don't know. So explain these things to them and they're gonna understand it. If you have your own strategy, you wanna put 55 photos up, do that. This is my strategy. I think less is more, and I've seen it in real life work to get people through traffic. We've taken on listings. I've had agents come to me and say, we're not getting any showings, whatever. We pull all the photos off, take a new first photo, reduce it from 30 down to 10, and we get showings within the next week. These things work, it happens. So less is more. Don't rush it. If the long guy doesn't come till Tuesday, wait till Tuesday to take your photos. Don't rush this. You get one opportunity of first impression. I see people list a photo with an iPhone photo saying professional photos coming soon. You're cooked, you're done. Everyone's already seen it. It hits the internet, thousands of people see it, and then they're like, that sucks. And they're not gonna come back. You're lucky if they come back. Don't rush it. Get your right photos, less is more. The purpose of online traffic is to get foot traffic, not to show you every square inch. That's why I don't really love those Matterport. Again, especially, you're like in an 1,800 square foot house, 3-bed, 1.5 bath. Like, I don't need to be, Matterports aren't helping, I don't think. It's cool, it's a cool tool. Technology's cool, but it's not helping me sell my 1,800 square foot, $270,000 house. I need people to walk in and feel an emotion when they drive in the neighborhood, when they walk through the door, when they see the kids in the neighborhood. That's the stuff I need people to see when they're buying a home. Does that make sense? Less is more. Get them off the internet, into the house. How showings work. Again, you want to explain, I'm not going to be at most of these showings. There's 7,000 real estate agents. We're going to leverage them to get buyers in. So if there's a showing, I'm probably not going to be there, heads up. If they want you there, they'll say that, but they need to know that because I don't want them to look at the Ring camera and be like, Brett, you weren't even there. What are you doing? They need to know I'm not going to be at these showings. Feedback, this is the number one thing. If you have more than one listing, tell your clients, I will call you on Monday and give you a feedback and market update every Monday. And then you have to do it. But if you don't, every time a thought pops in their head, they're texting you. Every time there's a showing, how'd it go? What's going on? What'd they say? Are we getting an offer? I'll tell you on Monday what happened last week. If we get an offer, I'll call you before then. But if not, I'll give you everything on Monday, right? That is gonna, if you get to the point where you're having 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 listings, you cannot take 10 random phone calls from 10 random sellers every single day because they will call you asking you questions. There needs to be a cadence of follow-up. Every follow-up, I'm gonna send you a listing activity report. We're gonna talk about what else sold in the neighborhood and if we need to make any adjustments. Every Monday, I'm gonna tell you what the people said. I have to go chase this feedback down because agents don't normally give it to me. So I'll call you on Monday, we're gonna talk about it. And then if they call, don't answer and let them text you and get back to them on Monday. That's the number one thing you can do is be consistent with your communication. The number one thing people do is like, oh, we didn't have any showings this week. I'm afraid to call them and tell them that I'm not doing a good job. Exactly what I told you is happening is happening. No one came, it's overpriced, whatever it might be. So the weekly, no showings, no feedback is feedback. We need to call and have that conversation. And again, if you set the expectation properly and you show them instead of telling them, then again, they know when a price drop's coming. Because that's the conversation everyone hates is calling to say, hey, like when you do a price drop, they'll know it's coming if you set the expectation up front correctly. So everyone knows how to hopefully go into showing time, go to reports, and go to listing activity reports. You can actually send feedback to your client. You can send a PDF of it, and then I call and discuss it. Even if it's nothing, I send it, I call, and I discuss it. It says no one came by. The other thing I like to tell people is if you can't get feedback through the normal feedback channels and you call the agent and the agent's like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that house, the backyard was too small or I didn't like the bathroom, whatever. You can go into showing time and manually input their feedback to that showing. Then it shows up on your report. So if you don't know how to do that, let me know and I can kind of show you how to do that. But then you can also say, did you guys think it kind of smelled like cat pee too? Yeah, good. Now I can put cat pee in here and I'm sending it. And we need to get the ozone machine, spend the money, replace the carpet, do the things. Because it's not me saying it smells like cat pee, it's this buyer that said it, right? So use your tools to get the information into your seller's hands to make the decision. That's why FSBOs have so much time is no one's giving them any feedback. Let me guess, they said they loved it? Yeah, because they want to be rude to you because it's terrible, So this real feedback is how we get actionable feedback and how we sell homes. So sending listing activity reports, getting data in there and sending it's important. Compensation, articulate your value. Again, the more comfortable you make them feel with the process, the more valuable you are in their eyes. You don't have to sell 1 million homes to be valuable. It's about navigating them through this process. That's how you're going to be valuable. More is caught than taught. So don't tell people how good you are at your job. Just be good at your job. Communicate well, understand the numbers before you get into the meeting, and be able to show them what you're going to do. They're going to catch you being good rather than you saying, here's how freaking good I am, So just be good, be prepared, say the right things, have the right numbers, and they're going to catch that. You don't have to sit there and tell them how good you are. And then stand behind your feet. Do what you say you're going to do. That's the number one thing. The number one complaint of realtors across the industry is poor communication. It's the number one complaint. That's bad expectation setting and then no follow through on what you said you're going to do. There is no reason to not communicate. No news is still no news. It's only your fault if you're not relaying the information. And the information is there is no information. So don't ghost people. Don't not call them on Monday because nothing happened the week before. Call them, communicate. And then, like I said, stand your ground. Some people just ask for a discount because they feel like they have to. So say no. It's okay to say no, understand, or do it. It's up to you. It's your commission. Sometimes if you come in with a small discount, they don't ask for a bigger one, right? I'll do it at 2.75. Oh, okay, well, that's pretty good. I was going to ask for 2.5, but I'll do 2.75, whatever. Make something up, I don't know. But most people are just going to ask for it because they feel like they need to. So say no, say yes, say whatever, but don't just give because you feel like you have to. Some people just need to ask. They're just gonna ask because if they don't, they're not gonna get it. How compensation works. So with the NAR changes, the brokerage's official recommendation is that we don't share commissions anymore. Prior to the NAR lawsuit, me as the listing agent would negotiate hypothetically 6% with my seller. So the seller's paying me 6%. I'm going to share whatever I want with the other agent. Normally it's 3 and 3. The cooperation and the sharing of commission is what the lawsuit was about. So now, in an attempt to not get personally sued or in another lawsuit, I recommend our brokerage, it is your broker's official recommendation is to not share commissions anymore. Charge your commission. I'm going to charge my seller 3, and I'm going to set the expectations that there's a 98% chance that there will be a buyer agent on the other side of this transaction, and there's a high probability they're going to want between 2.5% and 3% commission. We don't need to agree on it right now, and we can make a decision when we receive the offer. But I need you to know there's a 98% chance we're going to be paying 2.5% to 3%. It's market average. And they're going to say, great. But they have to know it's coming, and they have to know they're not paying me that. My fee is 3. The other fee will come later when we get an offer. So on your listing agreements, you put 3 and then 0 to the buyer agent, because we're not negotiating the buyer agent commission before there is a buyer agent. That was a whole crux of the lawsuit, and we lost it. We lost it. So don't try to navigate that. So does that all make sense? Yeah.
Also, but if you have the buyer and you only charge 3%, they need to know how much will you get if you have the buyer.
Who? What do you mean?
The seller has to know. how much
Yes. So that'll come across in.
money you're gonna charge if you have the buyer.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. If you're the listing agent. So one thing we do put in the additional provisions of our listing agreement. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. So you're going to put 3. If there's another buyer's agent, I'm going to charge you 2, 3, whatever, to be compliant. I'm going to charge you my commission, and then the buyer agent will ask for their commission. But if I procure the buyer, my total compensation will be X. So in the additional provisions is where I like to put that. In the event the listing agent procures the buyer, total compensation will be 5, 4, 6, whatever. So yes, you do need to do that, or you'll be renegotiating your own fee later. Negotiate it up front. Yes. Yeah. So you need to. What'll happen if a buyer comes, which is the normal part, if an agent comes, and then what if you get the buyer? Put that in your listing agreement as well. I had that in my notes right here. Thank you. I just didn't read it yet.
So do you also have to put in special provisions that buyer agent commission is negotiable per deal, or no, just
No.
put 0?
Yeah, just put 0. That's just what they're paying you. And it says, in the event of a buyer agent, I will share X, and the answer is 0. I'm sharing 0 over my 3% with anyone. And then the contract comes in with a cooperative compensation supplement.
Right.
That's what we're agreeing to.
Right. Okay.
I actually, put in my net to sellers, I still put 6 or 5 or whatever it might be, so they can see what it might be, but I'm not charging it. So it's important to understand why we're doing that. We don't share commissions anymore. Charge your money, let them charge their money. It's your obligation as a listing agent to set the expectation of the seller that, heads up, you're going to be asked to pay 2.5% to 3%. You can do whatever you want. You can pay nothing. You can pay 4 if you want, but heads up, they're going to ask probably for this. 98% chance. And the way to overcome that, we're not having to overcome that a ton. It's still pretty common knowledge. We're gonna have to pay a buyer agent something. It's still pretty widely accepted. 2.5% to 3% is pretty agreeable for every seller. I'm sure it's like 99.5% of transactions have 3% to a buyer. I'm sure it's very high. I haven't looked at that in a long time. They took it off the MLS. But we want to explain to the seller agent that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's getting paid what. All we really care about, me and you, the seller, is your net. What is your net walk away with proceeds at the end of the transaction? So who we pay what is great, but we're just looking at your net. The buyer agent commission is really just a marketing expense, just like staging a home or make readies. It's a marketing expense. We're paying that other agent to share his clients with us, so it's just a cost we have to incur. Comparable properties, buyer can't pay it. So one thing I always like to say is if we get an offer and it says they want 3%, that buyer and that buyer agent sat down, just like we're sitting down right now, and agreed to pay that agent this much money. And since they're asking us to pay it, they probably don't have it. So rather than negotiating it first, because everyone wants to go to the commission first, then the offer, they already asked us for it, which means they probably don't have it. So let's just negotiate the net as a whole because they're obligated to pay that and they asked us to pay it. So if we need to come up on price, come down on closing, whatever, let's do that. Does that make sense? Just like we sat down and had a conversation, they sat down and had a conversation, and they're asking us to pay it, which means they probably can't. So we just need to build it into our counter. And that's how you get them. Because again, when it was brand new and everyone was having it fumbling through this conversation, the sellers are like, well, let's just go after that money. That's, that's no one's money. That's like, I'll just not pay that. So nip that in the bud by explaining how the relationship works.
So do you normally give us a one settlement statement for the 3% that you charging, or the whole 6%, or will it be good to give two settlement statements, one with the 6?
You're talking about a net to seller, like in the net sheet? I just do one with 6, and I say this is your maximum exposure. This is the most you're going to have to pay most likely. So here's what you can expect. Do your math off this, and if it's better, then great. If it's worse, then you get. So explain the compensation. Explain how to get them to overcome it in their head. And then what to do if listings won't sell. This is the last one. I'll go through this kind of quick. So if a listing's sitting, a couple things you can do. One is adjust the price of the condition. But if everything looks right, it's priced right, condition's great, I would go through and call every showing agent. Most people can't get a hold of showing agents. If they don't respond to the first text, they're just like, I can't get them. Call them, blow them up. Call them once a day, call them once an hour if you need it. I need to know why you're not buying this house. Tell me what you thought of this house. Call them. But a lot of agents are out doing showings. I showed 10 houses this day to 3 different clients. You can't get a hold of them, text them, follow up with them, tell them the address, send them the link. Hey, you showed this house today. Tell me what your thoughts are, because they showed 20, right? They don't remember what they all look like. Help them help you, right? Because they're doing a million things just like you are. Help them help you. Call every showing agent. If I see a house in my neighborhood go pending and that agent didn't show my house, I'm calling that agent. Hey, you bought a house in my neighborhood, but you guys didn't even see at my house. Is there a reason why you guys didn't come look at my house? What made you not want to look at my house? Get as much information. If it goes pending, ask them why. And then reverse prospecting. Is anyone not familiar with reverse prospecting? Has anyone not heard of it? Has anyone heard of it? No one's heard or not heard of it? Reverse prospect. The MLS tells you what realtors have clients that are interested in your home or whose criteria matches your home. So if you're not getting any showings and you go into reverse prospecting, there's 30 agents that have buyers that match. I want to know why none of them have come out and looked at my house. It also shows you if they, in their buyer portal, if they like it or love it, if they interact with your property. I'm definitely calling those people. And don't email, don't text, because there's a button that says email everyone. Find their cell phone, call them. You have a client whose criteria matches this. Is there a reason you guys haven't come out and taken a look at it? Is there anything we can do to get you to come look at it? Whatever it might be. So these are all low calorie activities to get a home moved. But if a home's not moving, I have got to know why. If I think it's priced right and the condition's right, I need to know why it's not moving. Ask agents in your office. Message me. Come schedule time with me. Let me look at it. Fresh set of eyes. That happens once or twice a month. Agents schedule time with me and we look at listings that won't sell and we move photos around. We change some marketing. We go get some different photos. If you've got a photo and there's snow on the ground and it's July, get some new photos. Everything's dead, get some new photos, right? Take some action. We forget that if we sell a house, we make like 6 or 9 or 10 or 12 grand. We forget that sometimes. Act like someone's giving you 10 grand and go work for it, right? We think 3%, I need my 3, pretend like you're getting 10 grand. And what would you go do if I had 10 grand in my hand right now, right? Go do it. People forget that a lot. So we're a little over. Any questions? I don't want to keep anyone longer than we have to. Questions, thoughts? A lot of information. Listings are super interesting. If you do them right, they can take very little of your time and you can do a ton of them. If you do them right, all your hard work is up front with setting expectations and getting the marketing right. And then once it hits the MLS, you just go get the next listing. Don't obsess over it. Do all your work right the first time, and then go get the next listing, and then do it right, and then go get the next one, and just stack them. Stack your listings, and you're going to have a lot of success in this industry. But you have to go get them. You have to go find them. Time block your time. Go get listings. All right, guys. Thank you.